What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Trey, and as usual, hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. We back at it. You know, life's been life, and I've been out and about in these streets. Not really. I've just been doing a lot of stuff life-wise, right? But we back at it, and ladies and gentlemen, we got a couple things to talk about, right? Like the NBA trade deadline, excuse me, that has happened. It's finally concluded. So now we can take a look at a couple of teams and see just how they made out. But I got to bring this up, right? Because we were all expecting this to occur. Giannis trade talks. No more this season. And I'm happy to hear about it. I thought he was going to get traded. I thought this was going to be the end of the Giannis and Bucks tenure, right? There were a couple of interesting teams. We got Miami, Warriors, Wolves, Knicks, outside of the whole NBA, right? Like those are the teams that look realistic. Then you were hearing about OKC, the Spurs, Rockets, Cavs. It was interesting. Like there were notions thrown out there that maybe the Warriors could get someone like MPJ and Giannis to pair with Steph. I thought that could have been an interesting big three. That could have been nice to look at, right? Now we switch to not worrying about the Bucks for the remainder of the season. Because realistically, Giannis might get shut down. Bucks could retain Giannis. Maybe the Bucks get a top 3 pick and maybe they can trade that for a disgruntled star to pair with Giannis to potentially keep Giannis there. I don't know. All I do know is that I ain't going to talk about the Bucks no more after this because the offseason is really when I need to focus on the Bucks. So thank you, Giannis, for staying, I guess. But if he had gotten traded, it would have been interesting to see just how this NBA season was finna shake. Because remember, he is injured too, to be clear. So that was another element to talk about also. But let's go ahead and move on and talk about another trade that happened. Now we got here, James Harden is no longer on the Clippers, all right? He is now on the Cavs, and they traded James Harden for Darius Garland. I want to say a second-round pick. Now, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. I still don't believe in the Cavs. I still don't. You got James Harden paired with Donovan Mitchell. On paper, it looks all right. You got a quote-unquote pass-first point guard at 6'5", and you got a trigger-happy shooting guard at 6'2". Problem is, Donovan Mitchell's still 6'2" as a shooting guard. James Harden is still not good defensively. Like his effort not really there no more. He was cool on OKC, and then once he got to the Rockets, buddy just said, we're fine. So clearly that's not the case because he has not been a champion. Gotten a little close-ish, like Western Conference Finals. You know, it's decent. I just don't believe in the Cavs. And I already didn't believe in the Cavs because Donovan Mitchell was their best player. The only way I can believe in the Cavs and this team winning is if Evan Mobley is their best player. And I don't see that happening. So again, ladies and gentlemen, while this was cool, it would have been good to see maybe if the Cavs had acquired a wing. That would have been good. They lost DeAndre Hunter. So yeah, they kind of reverting a little bit. Don't get me wrong, they have some interesting pieces. But Evan Mobley needing to be their best player is key for me because Donovan Mitchell, respectfully, what are we about? 29 now? So we might be 9 seasons in. Never gotten to a conference finals. And for somebody who has been called overrated, not Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Haliburton, has got to 2 of them things. So the fact that we're calling Tyrese Haliburton overrated, but we're praising Donovan Mitchell and acting like he's never had help when Evan Mobley just last year was giving him about 18, 19, and 10 points a game in the playoffs, and we losing 5 to the Pacers. I'm just saying. I don't believe in the Cavs. But kudos for getting James Harden, though. Kudos for getting James Harden. And you know what? They did say, I want James. Maybe they should have been a little more specific and said LeBron James and not James Harden. But, hey, maybe LeBron leaves my Lakers and goes to the Cavs the next season. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Speaking of, let me just talk about my Lakers right quick. I'm a little disappointed, a little frustrated in the Lakers. We didn't trade Austin Reeves nor Braun. So we're willing to just let Braun go for nothing. That hurts. Now, unless you got a player in mind, or unless we're going to re-sign Reeves to make the money work and get a big star, I'm not a fan of us this trade deadline personally. It also says, hey, we're going to lose this season anyways. Let's just see what we can make work in the next couple seasons or the next couple off seasons. And Lakers, we haven't really been doing too hot personally, for me, at least for my liking. So until we get rid of Austin Reeves, because again, Luka Doncic is the best player on the team. Austin's not better than Luka by no stretch of the imagination. And that's my backcourt, Luka and Austin. That's not going to work out well. Off top, we probably would lose to a team like the Wolves. And their best attribute is Anthony Edwards, which is cool, don't get me wrong. But then Jaden McDaniels is going to be going right at Luka or Austin Reeves. And he can defend too. So the fact that he can probably average 20 plus against us is kind of crazy. So again, I'm not the biggest fan on us not trading one of those two players, Reeves or Braun, because Braun can walk this year, like I said, and we not getting nothing back for him. That's tough. But I guess JJ and them believe that our perimeter defense as a team is fine. And then our bigs, he thinks they not shaky. Hell no. Like that is, I don't agree. Sorry. So again, Laker fans, if you're disappointed like myself, I'm not mad at you. Also, Braun potentially leaving. I've been waiting for this day since July 1st, 2018. I promise you. I really have. Because now he can go to teams like the Knicks, the Heat, the Cavs, the Warriors, the Nuggets, the Mavs, the Suns. How about even a team like the Wizards? That would be interesting. Seeing Braun go to all these potential different places. Let's see how that shakes out. Speaking of the Wizards, though, ladies and gentlemen, they have been doing okay-ish, at least on paper, in terms of getting back on track. Like there are people who are trying to say that Wizards are contenders next season. Wizards top 3, top 5 for the playoffs in the East. And that's a possibility because we started off with them acquiring Trey Young, right? Okay, cool. That ain't too shabby. Like they were looking interesting at that point in time. But then we factor in Anthony Davis. That was a big one. Because, one, they didn't have to give up that much to get Anthony Davis. So that actually is a knock on the Dallas Mavericks. So you got to remember, they traded Luka, got lucky to get Cooper Flag, and then you virtually give him up for nothing. That's kind of piss poorish, Mavs. That's kind of piss poorish. But we'll talk about that another day. But with the Wizards this season, ladies and gentlemen, we got a couple of young pieces. Anthony Davis has Alex Saw. I think they're a backup big away from really making some interesting noise as long as health is a factor. And we got to see who on the team is going to be the lockdown defenders that they need to have. Anthony Davis is there, cool. Alex Saw was leading the league in shot blocking, cool. Bilal Coulibaly is a solid defender as well, too, cool. Keyshawn George is all right as well. Who going to be the lockdown wing defenders? That's what I'm looking to see out of this Wiz team. And again, they're young. Oh, let's keep in mind, too, they could potentially get a lottery pick as well. I'm talking about a top 5. That's not bad. So, again, I do like the Wizards next season. I don't know if they're going to make me want to go to the games, actually, because maybe I'll catch the early games. But health is the reason why I might not look to go to the later games, because they got to be healthy, and that has been questionable over, especially Anthony Davis's tenure, especially when he started going to my Lakers. Ain't that some stuff? Ain't that some stuff? But, again, Wizards, y'all not looking too bad. Y'all not looking too shabby. Here's what kind of caught my attention, ladies and gentlemen, on one of these trades. We had the Warriors and Hawks. They swapped Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield for Kristaps Porzingis. This is another health thing that I got to worry about, because realistically, as long as Kristaps Porzingis is healthy, they got something. The Warriors, mean you got somebody paired with Steph now who can give you about 20 a night, be a rim protector. They ain't had nobody 7 foot since Kevin Durant and Andrew Bogut, and those were at different tenures. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Warriors do with this. Also, I'm looking for them to part ways with Steve Kerr, but that's another discussion for another day. But the Hawks getting Jonathan Kuminga, that's a good one too. Because that's a versatile forward who can give you about 20 a night, and he got a chip on the shoulder because the Warriors just mistreated him for the longest. So I think the Hawks got a little interesting situation on their hands over there. And if they get a backup big for real, I do like Okongwu starting. They can switch damn near everything. And they can score. They can be run and gun. That's a really solid transition team. Very curious what the Hawks do. Only thing is, Hawks don't develop their players well enough for me to be like, they can go the distance. That's my only worry about that. But outside of that, the move was solid. I do like that. Jaren Jackson Jr., ladies and gentlemen, to the Utah Jazz. That was very interesting. Because I'm thinking about next season, right? Not this season, next season. What if they get a top 5 pick, which they're in line to do, and they still have Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Walker Kessler to boot. And then you got Ace Bailey, Keontae George. Let's say Ace pans out to what he's supposed to be. That could be a little dangerous squad. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, ladies and gentlemen. And then if he doesn't, you can have him come off the bench and have Isaiah Collier and Keontae George starting, both of them 6'4", 6'5" guards. That's not bad. So this Utah Jazz team, it's looking a little shabby. I can't hold you. It's looking a little shabby, ladies and gentlemen. I'm looking forward to seeing them next season. All right. So we talked about all those teams that did move players, right? Not all of them, but we talked about a decent amount of them, okay? Some teams that did not move players that I think would be a little interesting. We already talked about the Bucks not trading Giannis, right? And that's not because of his draft stock. That's because they wanted to get the most bang for their buck. No pun intended. Ja Morant. I'm going to say this off top. He's damaged goods. I wouldn't want him on my team. He's stupid. His daddy's stupid. And I'm not trying to be too slanderous when I say that, but I just wouldn't want that in my locker room. Remember, Ja Morant is the same guy who tried to fight a 17-year-old. He had 4 back-to-back instances in one season. He keep wanting to do the gun celebration when he known for getting in trouble over a gun. Like, I can't have that level of ignorance in my locker room. I'm sorry. I can't. He not good enough for me to want him on my team, respectfully. He also injured quite a bit. Not the best leader from what I've seen. And again, I don't know him. All right. I'm just going off what I've witnessed in his tenure in the NBA. So I personally think it's going to be very tricky for the Grizzlies. Because you just got rid of JJJ, Desmond Bane. And remember, just a couple of years ago, they were saying they weren't worried about anybody in the West. Now, nobody in the West is worried about the Grizzlies right now. And Ja Morant, too, by the way. So, it's very unfortunate that Ja went the way that he did. But it's also a good lesson to show the upcoming kids. Act like you got some common sense. Or else your brand gets messed up. And next thing you know, you're going to be taking a little bit less money than what you probably could have made. Ja Morant was supposed to be one of the faces of the NBA. Damaged goods, like I said. So he's got to do a lot of work to turn this thing around. And I don't think he got it in him personally, but we're going to wait and see. The Pelicans not moving Zion. That was big for me. Okay. I thought the Pelicans were going to potentially keep him. I mean, not keep him, trade him maybe. And they did. And I think it's very interesting to note that they also made Trey Murphy III and Herbert Jones untouchable in trade conversations, which I do think was the right move, which tells me that the Pelicans might be on to something. And we could be paying attention to the Pelicans next season. All right. Because the Pelicans having a decent little squad on them is something to note. Derek Queen hooping as a rookie. Zion looking somewhat healthy. Herbert Jones is still one of the best defenders in the NBA. Trey Murphy is one of the best 3-and-D players in the NBA. You got the right players around Zion. Even Jeremiah Fears is looking like he can do something out there. So it's looking like you got the right players around Zion. And Zion's looking healthier. Maybe he's figuring it out. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But the Pelicans, as an organization, they're moving okay. And I got to mention this one only because, he used to be one of my boys. But shout out to Veka Zubac. He is on the Pacers. So I will be curious at how the Pacers are moving when Hallie returns, okay? Because they got rid of Benedict Mathurin, which was an interesting move. But you getting Zubac, pairs well with Hallie. Let's see what they do going forward, okay? But my future teams to pay attention to, we got the Wizards, we got the Jazz, we got the Pelicans, and we got the Pacers, because those teams have positioned themselves decently for next season and also have a top 5 pick potentially. That ain't nothing bad to look at. Like those could be 4 of the top 5 right there in this upcoming draft, ladies and gentlemen. As well as the Hornets and Hawks, because both of those teams again made moves or have been playing really well and are in the playoffs or play in currently. And they're really young. And I like the foundation. This is I'm not talking about the contenders like OKC and the Nuggets and the Rockets and the Celtics. I'm not talking about those teams, all right? I'm talking about the surprise team that you don't typically think about. Those are the teams that I actually liked after this trade deadline. So, again, that's the Wizards, the Jazz, the Pelicans, the Pacers, the Hornets, and the Hawks. I'm telling you right now, those teams you may want to pay attention to, because those teams can beat eventually the Knicks and the Cavs, and potential Celtics could be a little tough to beat, but the Heat, like those teams could be losing to the teams that I just mentioned. That's just in the East. West, we got to see what happens, but the West could be a little interesting too. I'm telling you right now, the Jazz team does not look bad. They just need a little bit more experience, and then boom, we might have something. And what happens if they trade Lauri Markkanen to make something else shake? I'm just saying, they got a couple options to make. They really, truly do. So again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the trade deadline, it happened. And I was told too that it caused a lot of frenzy. This happens every year. There's a lot of trades that are made. Someone told me that this felt like free agency. It's going to be more of a norm. We're having more talent enter the NBA. So you best believe that more stars are going to start getting traded by the trade deadline. It's just going to happen because teams are trying to get younger. Teams are trying to retool. They're trying to rebuild, and it's going to be at a faster pace now. So you might want to pay attention to some of these stars on these teams, because before you know it, you might blink two or three times and they gone. There's no disrespect. It's just a business type deal. Remember, NBA is still business. National Business Association, not basketball. No, but seriously though, it is a business. So teams are going to be making trades. So I hope you like this trade deadline, because it's going to be a little more active the next year and the next year. And it's going to be ongoing. There might be an anomaly, but I expect it to go like this consistently. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that does conclude the end of the episode. So I greatly appreciate y'all for listening. Thank you all, right? Please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone about the show. And before we go, I'm curious, what was your favorite trade in the trade deadline? Or you know what? I'll even spice it up a little bit. What was your favorite trade or non-trade? Just don't mention Giannis, because again, I ain't trying to talk about the Bucks for the rest of the season. So please give me something non-Bucks oriented, and I'd love to hear from you. Let me know. But till next time, ladies and gentlemen, hope you all have a good one. Like I said, my name is Trey. I'm the host of Get a Bucket. Hope you all have a good one. Take care.